As part of the EOS Meeting Pulse tool, we have a very prescriptive way of checking into those meetings and concluding those meetings. Now, we have several different types of meetings. We have annual meetings. That's a 2-day event for the leadership team. We have quarterly meetings. That's a 1-day full day event for the leadership team. We have weekly meetings. That's once a week, 90 minutes for the leadership team. But then we also, throughout the company, have a variety of different meeting pulses for the different departments, to where ideally everybody in the whole company is in some type of meeting pulse. Now, most of these meetings, if you really want them to be effective, they start with a check-in and they end with a conclusion. One thing that I've noticed after coaching lots of sessions and really sitting in some of these leadership team weekly meetings and departmental level 10 meetings is that sometimes I find leaders, bosses, rushing the check-in and the conclude. And so one of my clients suggested that I do a video on the psychology behind the check-in and the conclusion, just so that nobody's missing anything that could be really valuable. So let's go ahead and start with the check-in. So whether it's a quarterly or whether it is a weekly meeting pulse, the psychology behind the check-in is still the same. The first point that I want to bring up is that this check-in is actually a transition. What is it a transition from? The first thing it's a transition for is from being almost robotic and task-oriented and getting everything done during your day or quarter into being human again. Ta-da, we're human. So it's a transition to being human. A lot of times in these check-ins, we talk about our business and personal best, and we're opening up to people. It's just a quick little reminder without saying it that, hey, we're all human beings here. The second point I'd like to make is that it's also a transition. Transition number 2 is a transition to working on the business versus in the business. So it's a transition to working higher level, on versus in. Now, in both of these check-ins, we ask you to scan the prior time period. So for your weekly check-in, we say, let's scan the last week and share with us your business and personal best over the last week. When your brain is asked to scan a time period, it automatically elevates to working at a higher level, just a longer time span capacity, working on higher level things for the company. When you're getting ready for your quarterly and I ask you to think about the whole entire quarter and share your business and personal best, it's elevating your brain even more. So just the fact that I'm asking you to scan 3 months, your brain is just notching right up, getting ready to really work on issues that serve on the business versus in the business. And then the third piece of psychology here that I really want to emphasize for this check-in is that it is really a healthy tool. So in EOS, we promise you 3 things. We promise you that we will help you simplify and clarify your vision, we will help you achieve traction, and we will help you create a very cohesive, communicating, healthy company, starting with that leadership team. For 5 minutes, just 5 minutes, we get to see each other. And this is a very low-risk vulnerability tool as well. So if you are a departmental manager and you have not been using business and personal best, that is just a super easy way to hit all of these objectives. So I encourage you to go ahead and try that. Now let's talk about the conclusion, the psychology behind the conclusion. In your weekly meetings, your conclusion goes something like this. You recap the to-do list, then you talk about cascading messages, and then you rate the meeting. In your quarterly meetings, you're going to give feedback. You're going to say, are my expectations met or were they met? and you're going to go ahead and give that a rating. But this psychology works for both of those agendas within those conclusions. The reason why we always have a conclude section in all of our meetings is because, number one, humans forget. And guess what? To date, everybody on a leadership team has been a human. That was supposed to be a joke. You're supposed to be laughing right now. But humans forget. So if we started a meeting at 8 a.m. and now it's 3:30, do you think there might be some things we agreed to back at 9:30 a.m. that maybe we forgot about? Absolutely. And so when we go back and we think about those things, we recap the to-do list, we say, were your expectations met? You have to think about the whole entire day. Any feedback on the day, you have to think about the whole entire day. And it's going to remind you of some things. So humans, we just forget. So that's why we really like a nice conclusion, a nice next steps section. Number two, the reason why we conclude is humans miscommunicate. We do, or we under-communicate. So you think that I had that thing totally clear, and you think I wrote that down exactly how it should happen, but I didn't. And so we just miscommunicate. So we're just giving ourselves one more chance to clarify, what did I say I would do, and what do you think I said I would do? Are we on the same page? So we miscommunicate, so we just add this conclusion. And then also, this talks about the rating. Why do we put a rating in the conclusion? Well, it's not so that the person leading the meeting feels like they have a gold medal. We're not rating the person leading the meeting. You're not rating me. You're rating the day. You're rating the 90 minutes. Was it the very best use of our time? But the reason we do that is not to point fingers or blame, but we do that because we want to get better. We want to improve. And we want to improve all the time. Is there one little thing that we could do? So if your rating is a 9, you owe it to your leadership team, you owe it to your department to say, you know what a 10 would look like? A 10 would look like if everyone showed up on time. Oh, that's beautiful. Your rating is a feedback mechanism. So it's not just an 8 because you feel like it. Give that some thought. It's an 8 because if we could do these two things better, man, that's exactly what a 10 would look like. So your team knows that a 10 is possible. So we use a rating because we want to have constant improvement. So if you haven't been using check-ins and conclusions, maybe to their very best ability, hopefully this will help you understand the power behind a great check-in and a great conclusion.